We encourage you to share this within your organization and network. All attendees will receive a follow-up email after the webinar with the link to access the presentation recording. If you are interested in receiving a PDF of today's presentation, please contact us directly. This webinar has been approved for 1 training credit hour in the state of Illinois. For credits, please record the ID number of this course, 11547, and the course name, Safety and Handling of Permanganate. This information is necessary for any Illinois operator logging his or her training hours into the web tracking database. To ensure the best audio quality, we have everyone in listen-only mode. If you have questions, we encourage you to submit those throughout the presentation using the question pane in the GoToWebinar panel. We will be taking questions at the end as time permits. Here's a quick look at our 2017 webinars through May. March 9th, Safety and Handling of Phosphates with our Technical Service Manager, Mr. Darren Scutt. And May 11th, Dr. Pamela Dugan, our Business Development Program Manager, will present elimination of hydrogen sulfide odors with Carus CR tablets. To register, please visit our website. The recordings of each presentation are available on our webinar page on our website following each webinar. To find us, visit our website at caruscorporation.com for product and technical information, webinar links, webinar schedules, and more. Listed is the general sales and marketing email address, as well as mine. You can also follow us on LinkedIn, YouTube, Google+, Facebook, and Twitter, where we post technical articles, upcoming events, webinar schedules and recordings, and more. At this time, I would like to take the opportunity to introduce our speaker, Mr. John Bohl. John is the Global Technical Program Manager at Carus Corporation. He has been with Carus for over 40 years, serving in a variety of sales and marketing positions. This technical service department provides customer support, including on-site lab testing, plant-scale startup, and troubleshooting services. John earned his bachelor's in engineering from Purdue University, West Lafayette, Indiana. He is a member of the Water Environment Federation and the American Water Works Association, where he served as the AWWA Illinois Section Chair from 1992 to 1993. We welcome Mr. John Bohl.
Thanks, Laura, and welcome to everybody. Thank you for attending our presentation on permanganate product safety. Our intention is to provide a broad overview of important safety issues and to explain how global harmonization requirements have impacted permanganate products. Chemical safety is a complex topic with many components, and a seminar should address a variety of important topics ranging from regulatory standards, worker exposure, chemical reactivity, disposal of waste, and ultimately to the disposal of empty packages. I will cover as many of these topics as I can in the next hour, but remember that we have many safety experts on staff who stay up to date on the newest information. They can always be consulted at any time after the completion of this webinar. It is my intention to have time at the end of the presentation to answer questions. However, if we run short on time, you can contact us by phone or email with additional questions, and we will have contact information at the end. So by way of introduction, I'd like to let you know that Carus Corporation is a member of the American Chemistry Council, and as a member, we participate in ACC's Responsible Care Initiative. As you can see, there are several important principles that form the program, but none more important than to protect the safety of our workplace staff and our customers. So today's program is one part in our ongoing customer safety communication effort. So let's start. I want to first reemphasize that today we're focusing on our permanganate product line. Permanganates are part of the broad chemical category identified as oxidizing agents. And it is also a manganese chemical. The properties of oxidizing agents and manganese compounds drive the rules that govern permanganate safety, storage, transport, handling, and disposal. Now, permanganate products are manufactured, packaged, and delivered in two forms. One, crystalline solids, and two, as concentrated liquids. There are two important concepts to consider. First, regardless of the physical form, these products are similar because the reactive ingredient, which is the permanganate ion, is the same. However, they do differ in concentration of this active ingredient, varying from nearly 100% as dry product to 40% or 20% as water solutions in the liquid products. These changes in form and concentration will drive the speed of permanganate's reactivity and the associated cautions about handling and use. Since potassium permanganate in its dry crystalline form is the highest concentration, the most severe restrictions and cautions and warnings are generally associated with this particular product. Now let's begin by agreeing that the first step of worker safety is really understanding and knowing the risks. What can hurt you and how it can possibly happen. There are three situations that really define potential hazards of permanganate use. The first is the fact that permanganate is an oxidizer. Unanticipated reactions with incompatible materials can create a hazardous situation. It's potentially hazardous when concentrated permanganates are mixed with substances that it can chemically react with. Because the permanganate is concentrated, a mixture such as this will generally generate and release heat. And note that permanganate does not react with all substances, only a select group of reactive materials. Secondly, there are environmental hazards, and they can occur because of a large release of product may adversely affect aquatic life. Or if improperly disposed of, they may result in the first situation, unanticipated reactions with incompatible materials. And then finally, number three, regarding human safety, exposure to permanganate may be internal, which is by ingestion or inhalation, or external, such as contact with skin, eyes, or clothing when handled or due to spills or splashing. Most of the health effects hazards are associated with daily, chronic, long-term exposure, such as those workers in our factory. For most users, short-term exposure issues are more important and often refer to reactions with sensitive tissues, such as the eyes, that may be exposed and result in injury. Worker protective equipment is always required when working with permanganate. Communicating potential hazards and precautionary actions, specific worker protections and remediation options is accomplished through a variety of methods. And in addition to seminars such as this one, the common routes are these shown here. As our understanding of product applications evolves or as regulations change, these communication routes may also be reformatted or revised. So always check for the latest version of these communication materials. And this really brings us to Global Harmonized Systems for Hazard Communication, GHS. Today there is a drive to consistency or harmonization in the way information is delivered worldwide. Our presentation is in part designed to inform you of changes that have impacted permanganate product safety communications. The safety data sheet, SDS, is still our most important safety literature piece. As of June 2015, the GHS compliant safety data sheet replaces the previous material safety data sheet, MSDS. This switch to the new name signals that there have been changes. For example, there's a new 16 section format, and Carus's safety data sheets have been using this format for quite some time. But of special note, new red, black, and white pictograms are part of the new format as well. A safety data sheet is available for crystalline permanganate, and all of the cautionary information relates to this dry material, which is nearly 100% active ingredient. When it is stored and handled properly, it is stable and easy to use. But it is an oxidizer, and if dry powder is mixed with incompatible materials, it will generate heat. Note, however, when potassium permanganate is dissolved in water as a dilute solution, most acute hazards are eliminated. It's also self-limiting because at room temperature, the strongest water solution you can make is 6% by weight. Water is your friend when working with permanganate. A new safety data sheet is also available for permanganate liquids, and all of the cautionary information relates to the concentrated products as they are delivered. As with dry permanganate, when concentrated liquids are stored and handled properly, they're stable and easy to use. There are no vapors that are released from permanganate solutions. Concentrated liquid permanganate is an oxidizer, and if mixed with incompatible material, it will generate heat. However, when it is dissolved in water as a dilute solution, most immediate hazards are eliminated. Water is your friend when working with liquid permanganate. The new health hazard pictograms that are required for potassium permanganate products are shown here. These pictograms apply to all package sizes. The health and safety categories are also new, and they are based on the latest research data. There are 4 categories in the toxicity rating system, with Category 1 representing the greatest hazard and Category 4 being the lowest hazard. There is a separate rating system for corrosivity and irritation potential. In the case of corrosivity, there is only one category, Category 1, but with A, B, and C subcategories. If you would like to know more detail about the category definitions, the OSHA.gov website will provide all of the appropriate tables. Liquid permanganate also has new health hazard pictograms. These pictograms apply to all package sizes, and health and safety categories are also new, and they are based on the latest research data. In addition to new pictograms, signal words, hazard statements, and precautionary statements are new to permanganate labels. They are designated, they are designed and better defined the health and safety impacts of the product being used. If signal words are required, there are only 2 to choose from: warning or danger. The signal word for permanganate is danger. These are the permanganate precautionary statements. The wording is specific to permanganate and linked to the physical hazards associated with the oxidant. This is the hazard statement for permanganate. It reflects the potential health hazards as well as the oxidizing chemistry of permanganate. For an example, it identifies fired hazard potential common to all oxidants. This is the new pictogram for permanganate, and it's the only environmental hazard that applies. Because permanganate's environmental impact is related to the quantity of material that may be released, this pictogram applies only to large packages. Lastly, this is the new GHS pictogram that reflects the oxidizing nature of permanganates. The categories range from 1 to 3, and they measure the time to ignition for a defined mixture of oxidant and cellulose. Category 1 is the fastest ignition time. The physical hazard criteria are available on the OSHA website if you would like to see more detail. Now I want to transition away from the new GHS pictograms and focus on the important discussion of worker protections. The safety data sheet still contains recommendations for personal protective equipment, and by following these recommendations, exposure is minimized or eliminated, and health hazards are negated. So let's look at these in detail. The inhalation exposure scenarios for permanganate products, for the most part, apply only to the dry crystalline products. When transferring material from its package into a storage hopper, a fine dust can be released. This caution also applies to any situation where permanganate is air conveyed into a bulk storage silo. It may be possible, however, to imagine a situation where fine mist of liquid permanganate is generated and a worker may be exposed. This would be rare, but could occur if concentrated liquids are being spray applied, or if a line under pressure had a small cut or leak and mist is released. Splashing may also occur when pouring product from one container into another. Permanganate is an irritant, and breathing it should be avoided. The eyes are very sensitive tissue and must be protected from permanganate dust particles and liquid droplets. Dry permanganate crystals are sharp and abrasive and can scratch the surface of the eye. Plus, the crystals carry a small amount of alkali from the manufacturing process, or permanganate can react with eye tissue, forming some alkaline products. These products could produce a corrosive burn. Eye protection is very important, and I would specifically mention that safety glasses with side shields are acceptable when handling dry permanganate, but that our most recent recommendation is to use goggles when handling concentrated liquid permanganates. In all of these cases, it's important to be sure that safety showers and eye wash stations are mounted close to where the permanganate is being handled. Permanganate can react with the skin oils, producing a brown stain. Highly concentrated permanganate liquid may attack the skin or react with contamination on the skin. So gloves should be worn when handling permanganates. And of course, as with all chemicals, concentrated permanganate products should not be ingested. Now I want to discuss how to properly store permanganate products and the potential hazard conditions that you should be aware of. Permanganate products are manufactured and packaged in containers made of compatible material. When permanganate is repackaged into smaller container sizes, the proper container materials must be used. Under normal conditions, permanganates are very stable and have a shelf life of many months. Cautionary statements regarding proper storage reflect the concerns of accidental leakage or spills from the original containers and mixing with incompatible materials on a warehouse floor or a drainage system. In a warehouse, be aware that lift trucks may puncture a permanganate package. Permanganate that leaks from a damaged container can react with lift truck brake fluids or antifreeze on the floor or decking of a trailer. Also, keep permanganate separated from heat sources. keep them separated from other organic chemicals that are stored, and also concentrated acids. In recent years, dry crystalline potassium permanganate, along with many other oxidizing agents, have been added to the list of chemicals that could possibly be used by terrorists to produce dangerous reactions. The CFAT standard limits the quantity of permanganate that can be stored at an industrial site where there is inadequate security in place. The maximum quantity is 400 pounds. However, following a top screening audit, where proper security measures have been verified, inventorying larger quantities may be permitted. Of note, municipalities are exempt from this standard, and our authorized distributors comply with the standard by installing proper defenses, security gates, and security cameras. Permanganates are normally very stable. They, in and of themselves, are not flammable. However, when an oxidizing agent such as permanganate is involved in a fire, or if they are exposed to a heat source, they may decompose. This decomposition releases oxygen, which will help to sustain and accelerate a fire. Fires involving permanganate cannot be extinguished by smothering with inert foams. Only water is effective. The NFPA hazard code is used to communicate valuable information to first responders. Of special note, the NFPA health hazard code, which is the blue quadrant, has been revised for permanganate and has been revised to category 3. This reflects that irritating byproducts may be formed if permanganate is involved in a fire. A separate NFPA hazard code for concentrated liquid permanganates is also used to communicate valuable information to first responders. Of special note here, the NFPA health hazard code has been revised for liquid permanganates as well, and it's been revised to category 3. This also reflects the irritating byproducts that may be formed during a fire. Remember that you cannot smother a fire involving permanganate because oxygen is being liberated from the product. If a fire occurs and permanganate is involved, large quantities of water must be used as the extinguishing medium. Product spills can and do occur. If dry permanganate is spilled, sweep up the material and transfer it to a clean metal drum. Do not return the spilled product to the original package if that container still contains fresh permanganate. Floor sweepings could include reactive materials that would contaminate or react with the permanganate present in the drum. If liquid permanganate is spilled, it should be contained and diluted with water to less than 6% concentration. The weak diluted solution can be neutralized then using dechlorinating or reducing agents such as sodium bisulfite. Water is always your best friend when working with permanganate. If concentrated liquids are spilled, do not try to neutralize them until they're diluted with water. Do not wipe up spills, clean up drips or leaks, or wipe down equipment using a dry rag. Have a bucket of water available and wet the rag with water. After using the rag to clean up small spills or drips of liquid permanganate, rinse it in water to get all of the permanganate out. Permanganate that has been diluted with water to make a weak solution can be neutralized by reducing it with commonly available dechlorinating or reducing agents. When the permanganate is gone, there will be no purple or pink color visible. The remaining solution will be non-hazardous, and it can be disposed of then as local regulations allow. Neutralizing solutions can be used to remove brown permanganate stains from floors or equipment. The reaction will change from the purple permanganate color to brown and then eventually to clear as the reaction proceeds. Brown stains on hands or equipment can be removed by preparing a fresh solution of water, household vinegar, and 3% hydrogen peroxide. These materials are available in the local grocery store. If you are transporting or shipping permanganate products, the U.S. Department of Transportation hazardous material regulations are still in effect. When shipping permanganate, the proper packages, labels, placards, and documents must be used. Although there are new GHS requirements, the U.S. DOT still requires that the yellow diamond oxidizer label and placard be used on packages and over-the-road shipments of permanganate. This requirement may vary depending on the sizes of the package. The shipping documents must show the proper shipping name, the UN number, and any reportable quantity RQ requirement. There are 2 U.S. acts that regulate the release of or disposal of permanganate into the environment. RCRA governs how hazardous waste may be disposed of. Permanganate, as an oxidizing agent, contributes to the ignitability of waste and is therefore considered hazardous. It may not be disposed of to a sanitary landfill. CERCLA, which governs Superfund sites, establishes the reportable quantities. Under CERCLA, dry permanganate products fall into the 100-pound or greater RQ category. If this amount of permanganate is spilled or released to the environment, it's necessary to report the release to the National Response Center. Disposal into a chemical landfill may be permitted. For small quantities, destroying permanganate via neutralization can also be a viable option for disposal. And always remember to rinse permanganate drums before disposal after they've been emptied. Additional information is available, so please feel free to contact us if you have any other questions. You can always reach us through our Carus Corporation website. You can also feel free to contact your North American Regional Sales Manager. And here's a territory map that shows how we divide the country into regions and who your representatives are in each of those particular regions. For those of you who are attending from outside of the United States, here is a list of Carus Europe sales managers. Please feel free to contact them if you have any questions. And our team that's located in Europe covers Europe, the Middle East, and Asia, and can be contacted through their email addresses. Finally, if you have direct questions, you can also contact Shelley Corbin, Darren Scott, or myself through these email addresses. And now we do have some extra time, so if there are any questions, we will try and handle those.
Okay, thanks, John. Very nice job. I see we have a few questions, and we will get started on those. If you have any further questions, please type them in the box. The first one, are you considering potassium and sodium permanganate to be the same MSDS?
So no, they're not the same MSDS. There are individual safety data sheets, SDSs, for each of these particular products. So if you're using one or the other, please request the SDS that is specific to that particular product.
The SDS for Carus potassium permanganate also has the environmental symbol. Will that be changing in accordance with what you have mentioned in this webinar?
Yes, the potassium permanganate SDS should reflect the new pictograms, and that includes the new pictogram for environmental hazard. So that should be part of the SDS at this point.
Okay. Can you discuss material compatibility with both potassium and sodium permanganate? We are getting different answers from several sources on data sheets, primarily chemical feed pumps and fittings and materials for storage tanks.
Well, this is a really good question because materials compatibility seems to be a moving target these days. So we put together some guidelines, and please feel free to request our most recent materials compatibility guidelines. And they do change quite often. We find that materials available in the marketplace can change, different grades become available, and some products appear to be compatible and others are not. The other thing I would mention is that the compatibility is also related to the concentration of the permanganate solution that you're working with. So materials that may be compatible with a 2 or 3 or 4% potassium permanganate solution may not be compatible when you move to, say, a 20% or a 40% concentrated liquid. So these need to be investigated based on the particular product that you're looking at. Also, I would just add that if you have a product that we are not listing or that you're seeing inconsistent information on, if you have a sample of that product, you can always send us a sample, and we will be happy to run some tests with that material to at least give us some idea whether or not it is going to be or have some shelf life available to it when it's exposed to permanganate solutions.
Thanks, John. If we have any more questions, please go ahead and type them now. I just want to note before we wrap up that today's webinar has been approved for 1 trading credit hour in the state of Illinois. The ID number of this course is 11547, and the course name, of course, is Safety and Handling of Permanganate. We have one more question. What is the maximum quantity of permanganate that can be transported without needing DOT placards?
That's a great question, and I'm not sure I know off the top of my head exactly what that is. So I'd be glad to check that for you if you can drop us an email, and we can check with our EHS&S people and determine what that is for you.
Yes, we do have all your emails, and we can contact you after the webinar. We'll wait a few more moments to see if there's any other questions.
I know that during the last webinar there was a question about protective clothing, and there was specifically a question about whether Tyvek suits are compatible with permanganate, and we did look that up and confirm that Tyvek is compatible with permanganate and can be used when you're working with permanganate. There was also a question about nitrile and neoprene gloves that are often used in laboratory work, and we do use those gloves often, and they are compatible with permanganate as well. In our manufacturing plant, we also have work gloves that are Teflon coated gloves, and Teflon is always compatible with permanganate products and is a good material to use. Also, when you're looking at gasketing materials and tubing materials, anything that's Teflon is very compatible with permanganate.
Okay, it looks like that wraps up the questions for today's webinar. If you have any further questions, please feel free to email us and we will get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you all for joining us today and have a good day.